Welcome back to Prime Wealth. Today, we're diving into something really exciting. Fix and flip strategies, specifically how to budget those flips effectively.
Yeah, it's such a hot topic right now, especially for those looking to invest in real estate and create some financial freedom.
Absolutely. You know, many people think flipping houses is just about finding a great deal. But the budgeting part is crucial. It can make or break your project, right?
Exactly. You really need to map out every expense, from renovations to unexpected costs, and having a solid budget can help you stay on track and maximize your profits.
We're also going to share some real-life examples and strategies that can help you navigate this process, even if you're new to real estate investing.
And we'll touch on how to identify potential pitfalls and manage those risks. It's all about being prepared and informed.
Plus, we'll give you some practical tips on how to finance your flips without stretching your finances too thin.
So whether you're looking to dip your toes into real estate or you've flipped a few houses already, there's something valuable for everyone here.
Let's get into it. First up, we'll explore the basics of setting up your budget for a fix and flip project. So Alex, when we talk about fix and flip strategies, why is this especially important for folks over 40 right now?
Well, you know, Jordan, many people in that age group are really starting to think about retirement and what their financial future looks like. With inflation on the rise and life expectancy increasing, there's a real need to maximize their assets, right?
Absolutely. It's like the longer we live, the more we need to have saved up. And fix and flip can be a great way to boost those savings, especially if people are looking for alternative income streams.
Exactly. I mean, let's face it, traditional retirement savings like 401ks and IRAs might not cut it for everyone anymore. With the cost of living increasing, many people are looking for ways to supplement their income in retirement.
Right, and I think a lot of people over 40 might feel a bit stuck. They've got responsibilities, maybe kids still in school or college, and the pressure to save for retirement can feel overwhelming.
Definitely. I've seen many clients who are concerned about not having enough saved up. They might think, how can I catch up? This is where real estate, particularly fix and flip, comes into play.
Can you give an example? Like, how does someone actually get started with this at this stage of life?
Sure. Let's say there's someone named Bob. He's 45, and he's been working in a steady job, but he's feeling the pinch of rising costs and wants to secure a better future for himself and his family. He has a little bit of savings, maybe around $50,000, but he's worried it won't be enough when he retires at 65.
So Bob might think, what can I do to make that money grow faster?
Exactly. Bob could look into buying a distressed property in his area. The key here is to find a house that needs some work but has good potential. He can use his savings as a down payment, and then he might finance the renovations through a home equity line of credit or a personal loan.
Right, so he's leveraging his assets to create more wealth. But I imagine there's a lot of anxiety around that, especially if he's new to real estate.
For sure. There's always a risk involved. But if Bob does his homework, researches the housing market, and maybe even connects with a local realtor who specializes in flips, he can mitigate some of that risk.
Like understanding the neighborhood's trends, right?
Exactly. If he finds out that the neighborhood is on the rise, that can significantly impact his return on investment. He might buy a home for $250,000, put in $50,000 for renovations, and sell it for $400,000.
Wow, that's a solid return. But what if things don't go as planned?
That's a valid concern. Not every flip goes smoothly. Maybe he runs into unexpected structural issues or market conditions change. That's where budgeting becomes crucial. If Bob sets a clear budget for his purchase, renovations, and holds back some funds for surprises, he'll be in a much better position.
Yeah, I guess that's why it's so important to have a financial cushion. So for someone over 40, it's not just about the money they're making now, but also about planning for the unexpected.
Exactly. And it's also about emotional security. You want to feel like you're building something for your future, not just scrambling to keep up. Many people find that investing in real estate can not only be financially rewarding, but also personally fulfilling.
That's such a good point. I think when you have a tangible asset, it feels more secure than just watching numbers in a bank account.
Right. Plus, there's the potential for passive income if Bob decides to rent the property instead of flipping it. This could provide him with monthly cash flow that can supplement his retirement income.
So it's almost like a 2-for-1 deal. He can either get a lump sum from the flip or ongoing income from renting.
Exactly, and with the current economic climate where inflation is a real concern, having multiple income streams can provide a buffer against rising costs.
I wonder how many people are aware of the statistics around this. I read somewhere that a significant portion of retirees are actually living on less than they need.
Yes, that's true. Studies show that many retirees are forced to cut back on their spending or even return to work because their savings aren't enough to support their lifestyles.
That's a sobering thought, but it also highlights the importance of being proactive now, especially for those over 40 who still have time to make adjustments.
Absolutely. And the earlier they start looking into fix and flip strategies, the better position they'll be. They can learn the ropes, build their confidence, and really take control of their financial future.
It sounds like this approach is not just a way to make money, but really a way to secure peace of mind as well.
Yes, and that's essential as we navigate the complexities of life in our 40s and beyond. So with all of this in mind, what are some core strategies that people can use to get started with fix and flip?
So let's dive into the actual budgeting process for a fix and flip project. It seems like a daunting task, but it can be broken down into manageable steps, right?
Absolutely, Jordan. The key is to start with a clear outline of your expenses. You want to categorize everything. First, you've got your acquisition costs, which is what you pay for the property itself.
Right, and that's more than just the purchase price, isn't it? There are closing costs, inspections.
Exactly. You should account for those closing costs, which can include things like title insurance, appraisal fees, and any other fees that come up during the buying process. And don't forget about any repairs needed before you even start the actual renovations.
So it's essential to do a thorough inspection before you buy?
For sure. You want to know what you're getting into. A good rule of thumb is to budget around 1% of the purchase price for immediate repairs. But that's just a starting point. Sometimes you'll find more significant issues once you dig deeper.
And how do you factor in the renovation costs?
You'll want to break those down as well. List out all the upgrades and repairs you plan to make. It can help to get quotes from contractors before you finalize your budget. A good rule of thumb is to set aside 20% of your renovation budget as a buffer for unexpected costs.
That makes sense. It's like having a safety net, right?
Exactly. And it's wise to stick to your budget as closely as possible. If you allocate $30,000 for renovations, aim to keep it under that, if you can.
And what about labor costs?
That's a big one. Make sure to account for contractor fees, or if you're doing it yourself, consider the value of your time. If you're spending hours on a project, you need to think about what you could be doing instead, you know?
So it's almost like you're paying yourself, in a way?
Yes, precisely. If you value your time at $50 an hour, and it takes you 100 hours to complete a project, that's $5,000 you're spending on your own labor.
Wow. I hadn't thought of it that way.
It's important to have a realistic view of what your time is worth. Now, after you've tallied up your acquisition and renovation costs, you need to factor in your holding costs.
Holding costs?
Right. Those are expenses you incur while you own the property but before it sells. Think property taxes, insurance, utilities, and even the interest on any loans you may have taken out to finance the purchase.
So if I'm holding onto a property for 6 months, I need to estimate all those costs over that period?
Exactly. A good method is to calculate your monthly holding costs and then multiply by the number of months you expect to hold the property.
And don't forget about potential market changes during that time, right?
Yes, market fluctuations can affect your selling price and how long it takes to sell. Always plan for a worst-case scenario.
So how do we pull this all together?
Once you have your acquisition, renovation, and holding costs lined up, you'll want to estimate your selling price. Research comparable properties in the area to establish a realistic selling price.
And that's where a good real estate agent can come into play, right?
Definitely. They can provide insights on the local market and help you set a price that aligns with what buyers are willing to pay.
So let's say I estimate all my costs and expect to sell for a higher price. How do I calculate my potential profit?
You take your selling price and subtract all your costs. Acquisition, renovation, and holding.
Simple math. but it's crucial to get those numbers right.
Exactly. And remember, you want to aim for at least a 20% return on your investment. So if you're putting in $100,000 total, you'd ideally want to sell for around $120,000 or more.
And if you don't hit that mark, you might want to rethink your strategy for future flips.
Right, it's a learning experience. And speaking of learning, let's talk about some tools that can help streamline this budgeting process.
I'm all ears.
There are several budgeting apps designed specifically for real estate investors, like Rehab Estimator Pro or Flipster. They can help you track your expenses in real time and keep everything organized.
That sounds super helpful.
They really are. Plus, spreadsheets can be your best friend. Setting up a detailed spreadsheet that categorizes each expense can give you a clear picture of where your money is going.
And it's customizable, which is a bonus.
Exactly. You can tweak it based on what works best for you, and remember to keep your receipts and document everything. It will save you a lot of headaches when it comes time to evaluate your overall performance.
Good point. So, is there anything else you would suggest for someone looking to budget effectively for a flip?
Just stay disciplined. It's easy to get carried away with upgrades and renovations, especially when you want the property to look great. But stick to your plan.
And don't forget about the timeline.
Yes! The longer you hold on to the property, the more your costs add up.
So, keeping an eye on the timeline is as important as sticking to the budget.
Absolutely. And now that we've covered budgeting strategies, let's transition to some common pitfalls that people face when diving into fix and flip projects.
So, Alex, let's dive into some of those common pitfalls. I mean, where do you see people stumbling when they're trying to budget for a fix and flip?
Well, one of the biggest mistakes I see is underestimating renovation costs. You know, people often look at a property and think, oh, it just needs a fresh coat of paint and maybe some new carpet. But then they open up a wall and find mold, or worse.
Yeah, that can be a real shock. So how can someone avoid that pitfall?
It's crucial to do a thorough inspection before you buy. Bring in a professional if you can to help identify potential issues. And always, budget for unexpected repairs. I usually recommend setting aside at least 10 to 15% of your renovation budget just for surprises.
That sounds like a smart move. What about timelines? I've heard that can be a tricky area too.
Absolutely. Many new flippers underestimate how long renovations can take. They think a project will wrap up in, say, 3 months, and then it stretches to 6 or even 9 months. Delays can eat into your profits, especially if you're carrying costs like mortgage payments or utilities during that time.
Right, and that can really impact your cash flow. So, if someone notices their timeline is slipping, what should they do?
They need to assess why it's slipping. Is it due to poor project management? Are they waiting on permits? Delays in materials? Understanding the root cause can help them pivot and keep things moving.
And I imagine that communication is key here, especially if you're working with contractors.
Exactly. If you're not getting regular updates from your contractor, or if they're not responsive, that's a red flag. You should feel comfortable reaching out and asking questions.
Speaking of contractors, what about hiring the wrong people?
That's a huge issue. People sometimes go with the lowest bid without checking references or reviewing their previous work. It's tempting to save money, but if the work is shoddy, it can cost you more in the long run.
So, what's the best approach for vetting contractors?
Look for reviews, ask for referrals, and don't hesitate to visit past job sites. A good contractor will have a portfolio of their work and be willing to discuss their process.
That makes sense. Now, what about financing? I've heard that can trip people up too.
Definitely. Many flippers take on too much debt without fully understanding the financial implications. They might think, I'll just refinance later, but what if the market shifts or they can't sell the property for the price they need?
That's a tough position to be in. So what should people focus on when it comes to financing these projects?
First, know your numbers. Understand your maximum allowable offer, or MAO, which is basically what you can afford while still making a profit. And always account for carrying costs, interest payments, and contingency funds in your budget.
Got it. And I imagine some folks get too emotionally attached to the property, right?
Oh, for sure. Emotional attachment can cloud judgment. You might love the idea of a specific design or feature, but if it doesn't align with the market or your budget, you need to stay grounded.
So how do you keep that emotional distance?
It's all about having a clear plan going in. Set your goals, know your target market, and stick to your financial limits. If something doesn't fit, be ready to move on.
That's great advice. What about the selling process? Do people make mistakes there too?
Yes, often they overprice the property based on their initial investment rather than the market value. They might think, I put so much into this, I deserve to get that back. But the reality is, it's worth what the market will bear.
That must be tough to swallow for some investors.
It can be. But having a good realtor who understands the local market can really help. They can provide objective insights on pricing and strategy.
What are some other warning signs that indicate a flip might be going off the rails?
Well, if you notice a lack of progress or consistent excuses from contractors, that's concerning. Also, if your budget is quickly ballooning beyond what you initially planned, it's time to take a hard look at your expenditures and make adjustments.
And I suppose if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, that's a sign to reassess things too.
Absolutely. Stress can cloud judgment. If you're feeling overwhelmed, it might be time to consult a professional or take a step back. Sometimes, a fresh perspective can illuminate a better path forward.
So if someone finds themselves in a tough spot, what are some immediate steps they can take?
First, take a deep breath and reassess your situation. Review your budget, timelines, and contractor relationships. Look for areas where you can trim costs or negotiate better terms.
And pivoting, as you mentioned earlier, is key, right?
Exactly. Stay flexible. It's all about adapting to the challenges as they arise.
Those are some solid suggestions. It sounds like being proactive and prepared can really make a difference in the fix and flip journey.
For sure, Jordan. So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now, let's bring everything together.
So now that we've laid the groundwork for budgeting your fix and flip projects, what are some immediate steps someone can take to get started?
Well, first, I'd recommend creating a detailed budget for your project. Breaking down every single expense you might encounter.
Right, like materials, labor, permits.
Exactly. You can use budgeting apps like YNAB or even a simple Excel spreadsheet. The key is to be as detailed as possible.
That makes sense. Starting off with a clear picture of your costs can really help avoid surprises later on, huh?
Absolutely. And don't forget to include a contingency fund, maybe around 10 to 15% of your total budget. It's always good to have that cushion.
Yeah, that's a smart move. What about tools for tracking expenses as you go along?
You might want to look into apps like Mint or Personal Capital. They're great for keeping tabs on spending and can help you stay aligned with your budget.
Oh, I've heard good things about those. And what about the actual renovation part?
For that, consider using project management tools like Trello or Asana. You can create boards for tasks, assign responsibilities if you're working with a team, and track your progress.
That sounds really handy. Keeping everything organized can save so much time and stress.
Exactly. And if you're new to this, starting small can really ease you into the process. Maybe tackle a smaller property or a less complex renovation to build your confidence.
Right? Like a cosmetic flip instead of a full gut renovation?
Exactly. Focus on things like paint, flooring, and staging. Those can have a huge impact without requiring major structural changes.
And it's all about that curb appeal, right?
Yes, first impressions matter. Also, I'd suggest visiting your local hardware stores or home improvement centers. They often have workshops or classes on basic renovation skills.
That's a great idea. Learning hands-on can really boost your knowledge and comfort level.
And don't underestimate the power of community. Join local real estate investment groups or forums online. You can learn so much from others' experiences.
Networking with like-minded individuals can really open doors, huh?
For sure. Plus, you might find potential partners or mentors who can guide you along the way.
Speaking of guidance, are there any books you'd recommend for someone just diving into fix and flip?
Definitely. The book on flipping houses by Jay Scott is a solid choice. It covers everything from budgeting to managing contractors.
Oh, I've seen that one. It seems to be pretty popular.
It is for a reason. Another great resource is the Real Estate Wholesaling Bible by Van Merrill. It can give you a broader perspective on real estate investing as well.
Nice! And I assume there are online courses out there too?
Absolutely. Websites like Udemy or Coursera have affordable courses on real estate investing and renovations.
Yeah, and many of them offer practical advice. It's like having a mentor in your pocket.
Exactly. Just make sure to set aside time each week to learn and apply what you've learned.
That's a great habit to build. Consistency really pays off in the long run.
It does. And remember, take it one step at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day, right?
Right. Starting small, learning as you go, and building your confidence is key.
And don't forget to celebrate your small wins, whether that's completing a project on time or sticking to your budget.
Celebrating those wins helps keep the motivation up, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It reminds you why you started in the first place.
So as we think about all these steps and tools, what's one last piece of advice you'd give to someone just starting their fix and flip journey?
I'd say trust the process and don't rush. Each project will teach you something valuable, even if it doesn't go as planned.
That's such a reassuring thought. Embracing the learning curve can make this journey so much more enjoyable.
For sure. So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now, let's bring everything together.
All right, so as we wrap this up, let's touch on some key takeaways from our discussion on fix and flip strategies and budgeting.
Absolutely. First off, it's crucial to accurately estimate your renovation costs. You really want to avoid those unexpected expenses that can derail your budget.
Right, and then there's the importance of setting a realistic timeline. Renovations can take longer than expected, so having a buffer is essential.
Exactly. And don't forget about the market research. Understanding your local real estate market can help you determine the right price point for both buying and selling.
And keeping track of your finances throughout the process can't be stressed enough. Using a budgeting tool or app can really help you stay on top of your expenses.
Definitely. And finally, remember that patience pays off. Sometimes it takes a bit longer to find the right property or to flip it for the right price, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's all about playing the long game. Building wealth through real estate isn't usually an overnight success story.
Right. So as you think about your own fix and flip journey, keep these strategies in mind and don't be afraid to seek help if you need it.
That's such great advice, Alex. And if you found this episode helpful, we'd love for you to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below.
And if you know someone over 40 who could benefit from this information, share it with them.
Next time, we'll dive into vacation rentals and share some key tips for managing your Airbnb effectively.
It's going to be a great episode packed with practical advice for anyone looking to venture into that space.
Can't wait. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We'll see you next time.